They say all men are created equal.
Shot! Master!
I pull out the Glock.
Full of suffering succotash, son.
One of your nuts is hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass!
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Too Sweet with unfortunately just Lucy this week. Life's been pretty hectic for both of us, but yeah, Estelle couldn't make it this week, so you've just got to put up with me. Sorry guys, I know it's more fun when Estelle is here. It's so much more fun to record when it's two people. Obviously you can have a conversation, have some fun, but nonetheless, I really enjoyed Dynamite this week, so I'm quite looking forward to reviewing it. Yeah, so I guess we'll just get straight into it. Also, sorry this is a little bit later than usual. Like I said, life's been a bit hectic, but I'm here now and I'm going to do my best to review the show on my own. So, yeah, Dynamite this week kicked off with a Continental Classic recap video package hyping Brody King versus Claudio Castagnoli, which was going to be the main event this week, which, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, I'm sure you know just how big of a Claudio fan I am, so this was music to my ears. I was delighted to hear this. So yeah, this definitely worked in getting me hyped up for the show. Then we started off opening bout, Shelton Benjamin versus Kyle Fletcher. And, you know, I don't think this isn't like a dream match on paper, is it? I don't think anyone's sitting there being like, oh, can't wait to see this one. Like, wow, this is one of my top 10 dream matches. But it's something that you didn't know you wanted to see until you saw it. And then you just realised, wow, these two, they had great chemistry in this match. I really enjoyed it, basically. It was a really, really good match. And not that I'm not surprised that it was good, because obviously two amazing wrestlers, but it did, you know, the quality and just how much I enjoyed it, I guess, did surprise me. We had Shelton Benjamin taking the no-nonsense approach, like grounding Kyle, and Kyle with his, you know, his cockiness, his shenanigans. You know, Shelton Benjamin was having none of that. He just basically just smashed him to bits. It was quite brilliant, I was going to say. Don't know, I was going to say a brawl. I was going to say violent. So brilliant came out. No, it was a violent brawl, basically. At some parts, it is what I'm trying to say. It was very hard-hitting. And they were just a great contrast for each other. Like I said, they just seemed to have really good chemistry, and they just worked really well together. The crowd was really hot as well, and that really helped. Was it in Chicago? I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. I think it might have been, though. Yeah, so they were really behind Shelton, which was great, and it just really helped to kick this match up a gear. Like everything he did, they were right there. He had the crowd wrapped around his pinky finger, basically. But then, yeah, back and forth, really good match. But Shelton Benjamin did seem to be dominating Kyle Fletcher, not to the extent where it felt one-sided or anything, or like a squash match, but he just seemed like he was the better wrestler. Obviously, he had the size and strength advantage. So then the finish was Kyle using the ropes to steal the win. So he obviously had leverage on the ropes, and the referee didn't see it, counted to 3. And I kind of love that, because it furthered the heat on Kyle and the Callis family, but Shelton and the Hurt Syndicate don't look weaker at all for it. In fact, you know, like I've said, Benjamin came out looking probably like the stronger wrestler. It was unexpected. It was out of nowhere, the finish. Like, it was very rapid, and, you know, you didn't see it coming. So yeah, the pacing of this was very good. And yeah, I like the finish, and I can see why some people, you know, they don't like indecisive finishes like this, but I think this was just a perfect example of how to use them right. And it's just further in the story. You know, Kyle Fletcher is got this sense of self-importance, and he thinks he's the best, and he's picking up wins to prove it. So, and even though they're not, this victory wasn't clean, in his head it doesn't matter. And it just shows that Don Callis is rubbing off on him. But Shelton Benjamin for this just got more frustrated and even more dangerous, and we'll see that later on in a different segment. So yeah, overall, I thought this was brilliant and I really liked it. Then there was a Collision recap. I didn't watch Collision, and I don't usually. I would love to start watching it. I just really don't have time. I really don't, and it's a shame, especially at the moment. Life is really, really hectic, like I've already said. But it looked really good. To be honest, when they're having the Continental Classic on Collision, I think that's a great idea to get for getting people to watch the two shows. Um, Also, I've heard that Rampage is ceasing existence in 2025. This is a rumor that I've heard. Um, Let me just double check this. So yeah, sorry, I'm going on a tangent. This, if we're doing a normal sort of traditional way that we normally do this, I guess this would be in the news segment at the end, but I'm just going to touch on it now because I've just remembered it. Um, yeah, so Rampage is apparently being cancelled for 2025. I've never really watched Rampage, but I think this would probably be a bad move because where else are, the lower card talent's gonna get to practice wrestling on TV, get some airtime, develop the skills. Where is this room gonna be for these other wrestlers who aren't mainstays on Collision and Dynamite? That's my question. Like I said, I didn't watch it, so I'm not gutted from that respect, but I think there's a bit of concern there for that reason. I'm not sure if this has been corroborated, whether it's 100% definitely true, confirmed, but this is what I've heard this week. Um, so yeah, let me know what you think. Are you gonna miss Collision if it is indeed being cancelled? Um, Not Collision, Rampage. Not not cancelling Collision. I mean Rampage. Anyway, so yeah, they did a recap of Collision, which was nice for people like me who don't have the time to watch it. But I would like to try and make the effort to, if I can, maybe over a Christmas break. I might start watching it. But in this recap, we learned that Ospreay beat Juice Robinson. But Juice Robinson is apparently now injured and he's replaced in the tournament by Commander, which is interesting. And I probably would have put him in that spot instead of Juice Robinson in the first place. That maybe that's just me. And also Okada versus Daniel Garcia went to a time limit draw. Very interesting. Let me know if you watched Collision and if these matches are worth my time. Um, so next we had Hook coming down to the ring. He was wearing a hoodie with his hood up, and he basically challenged Christian at the Hammerstein Ballroom for the show that they're doing there. Can't remember what it's called. Sorry. Um, yeah, he basically was chatting shit about Nick Wayne, and he said, "I want to fight your dad." At this show, and I got a bit confused. I thought he meant his actual biological dad at first, because I don't know, my brain just wasn't braining, and I was like, "Why does he? Who? Why does he want to fight his dad? I thought he didn't have a dad. I'm stupid. I'm stupid." Then Christian and Mother Wayne came down, like distracting him, and then he got jumped by Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne. Of course, Hook was able to fight them off with relative ease, I will say. They kind of looked like chumps. But anyway, then Christian got involved. It was 3-on-1, and Hook was down and out. They then smashed Hook's hand in between two steel chairs. So you'd think that'd be writing him out. Um, so I mean, yeah, that's a big injury angle. So I guess we're gonna have to wait to see him when he faces Christian. Then we had a backstage segment with Renee. She was interviewing Mercedes Moné, who basically said she has no concerns about Camille at the moment, who was attacked backstage. She said she doesn't care, basically. But what she does care about is Anna Jay, and she said she will be watching her match with Penelope Ford later on in the evening. Nothing really of note there. Next, backstage, MVP was in the face of Shelton for losing. He said, "I love you, man, but I'm disappointed." Oh, that's heartbreaking. Yes, obviously, this is kind of what I was referring to earlier when I said, that loss is going to make Shelton all the more dangerous because he's going to be angry about it. Um, you know, I don't think this is teasing like tension in the Hurt Syndicate. It's too early for that. I think this was more like just setting the dynamic of the group where they've got really high expectations for each other. MVP is very much directing traffic and will settle for nothing but the very best. Um, so then sort of like the camera panned out and there was like a backstage person, like a camera guy walking past, and Shelton Benjamin decided to start attacking him for no reason. It had big Stan energy. Do you guys remember Shawn Michaels super kicking Stan for no reason? Um, I can't remember what year that was or anything, but and it was Ty Dillinger. Does anyone remember that? Yeah, it gave that energy. Um, yeah, just attacking someone backstage for no reason. So this poor guy got absolutely victimized at the hands of the Hurt Syndicate. So yeah, violent, angry, dangerous. Yes, I like it. I'm into it. So moving on then, we had the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal. Yeah, Battle Royal. So yeah, everyone started off inside the ring. And then, the bell rang and they had to be thrown over the top rope to be eliminated. You guys know how this thing goes in wrestling. Um, in this, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Evil Uno, Mark Davis, Leo Rush, Action Andretti, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, etc. A few other people as well. So yeah, there was nothing really massively of note in this. I mean, it was entertaining enough, for a battle royal. Lance Archer, Brian Cage being two big, strong boys, eliminated a lot of people. I'm sure Estelle was really into that. Um, and then, so they were dominating throughout. Them two, Lance Archer and Brian Cage, and Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly were the final four. And I really liked the ending. So they, on either side of the ring, Kyle and Adam drop kicked the two of the guys out at the exact same time, and it was just complete parallel of each other. Great timing, just on opposite sides of the ring, which meant they both won, because this had two winners to determine who's going to be facing each other to then get the opportunity at MJF. I thought the finish was really cool. Like I said, the match wasn't really anything of note. I think this probably had a good opportunity to do some storytelling in it, but there wasn't much, or if there was, I didn't care about it, so I haven't bothered to talk about it. But yeah, I thought the finish was really cool, and so that means we're going to see Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole next week. I think it continues this story in quite an interesting way. So recently we've had Kyle basically telling Adam, this is all, you know, your fault. Were you taking this too far? You need to forget about Max. Other people are getting hurt. Blah blah blah. Finally, we're going to get them to see them have a match, and the winner of that will go on to face MJF. I kind of hope Kyle wins because, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he will, but I think it would be cool if he did. You know, Adam Cole's just on like a downward spiral and he can't get to Max no matter how hard he tries. I think that would be quite a cool story to tell. And I think Kyle probably needs a win. Just I think his character is great, and I've always thought he was a great wrestler. I think he needs something to legitimize him a little bit more here in AEW. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that match. Next we had Daddy Ass berating Max Caster backstage. He was basically saying, "You're going about this all wrong. You shouldn't go out there and face Swerve. He's too dangerous." And he was also saying, your mind's being swayed by the Hurt Syndicate. You need to focus, etc." And then Anthony Bowens also was getting involved, and he said to him, "You call yourself the best wrestler alive, so go prove it." So Daddy Ass was like, "Oh, you talked some sense to him, and this is what he said." So he was basically like goading him to go out there. So definitely sensing some tensions here. I mean, it's no secret on this podcast, Estelle and I aren't Max Caster's biggest fans, to be honest. But we both really enjoyed this next match. So, as mentioned, Swerve Strickland versus Max Caster. Swerve Strickland versus Max Caster. Um, he was on the mic doing a rap beforehand, dropping a your mum joke. The crowd really turned against him. I mean, they already have, and I feel like, he's leaning into it. It's not like an unintentional heel turn, is it? Like, I know this is on purpose, but it's very satisfying to me that the crowd was booing him. Um, yeah, no one was into his shitty rap. Everyone was very much on Swerve's side. Um, yeah, his gimmick is that he's an annoying piece of shit. And I mean, too close to real life, isn't it? But anyway, Swerve pretty much destroyed him. This was pretty close to being a squash match. Max Caster just couldn't get going. Swerve was on him, 100%. Max Caster managed to get a drop kick onto Swerve, but immediately after that, Swerve popped up straight away and hit a house call on Max Caster, and that was epic. Really enjoyed that. And then he hit him with two more for the win. So this was very short, very sweet. He got his comeuppance. Fuck you, Max Caster. Um, I personally hope this is a burial, but I can just see it being the start of like a redemption storyline. We've discussed this on the podcast before. A feud with Anthony, perhaps. Is that what anyone wants to see? Hmm. Yeah, maybe maybe I don't know, but like, I don't think it's gonna blow anyone's mind, sort of thing. Um, so is he gonna go to the Hurt Syndicate now, Max Caster, because he's been offered the business card? Um, that's what's causing tensions. Now he's been destroyed by Swerve, who's just had a feud with him. So maybe I hope not. Because the Hurt Syndicate would be stupid to invite him after this. They just look really like dumb. Like this guy's just been destroyed, and apparently you want him on your team. Like apparently he's good enough to be in your team. I don't buy that. Um, Although I wouldn't be. I think I would be surprised if that happens. I can just foresee it though. I just can imagine it. Um, but maybe we do the opposite. Bowens gets invited to the Hurt Syndicate, and that's just further adding fuel to Max Caster being pissed off. Yeah, I could work with that. I could work with that. Um, oh yeah, so after the match, Swerve stomped him, and just rubbed a bit of salt into the wound. Moving on, we had Max doing one of his little promos where he's sitting in his house drinking wine or something, I think. Yeah, he basically was ragging on Adam Cole as he does. But what was really interesting about this was the way he blamed Adam Cole for the John Moxley situation, basically implying that the whole chain of events has led to John Moxley getting the championship and running roughshod over AEW. And I love that. I love that. I think that's, it's so MJF to make those connections. And I think it's very Adam Cole to be like, oh my God, you're right. Um, Max knows that sort of thing's going to get under his skin. Um, so yeah, I like this promo. We all know MJF is very good on the mic. Um, and he also called Adam Cole jaundice infected, which is also very true. Yes, like I said a couple of weeks ago, someone needs to stage an intervention for his use of fake tan. Next up was Pac versus Jay White, and I love this for Estelle. Congratulations, hun. This was a really, really good match. The word I'd use to describe it is fluid. It's just the movements, the pacing, everything was very fluid, and they just worked really, really well together. It was really violent. At one point, Jay White was bleeding from the mouth. This was, again, the crowd was great because they got really behind him for being so tough. Like, he was getting over as like like he was really putting his all into it. I think there was a submission holding or something, and he was bleeding, and he managed to break free. It reminded me of Stone Cold. Um, so yeah, it was very good. Um, for Jay White, he's clearly really over, or at least he was with this crowd, which is great to see and great to hear. Um, so yeah, he was. They were very back and forth, like very evenly matched. Pac, as usual, doing great at selling. Um, yeah, so interestingly, Wheeler Yuta was the only member of the Death Riders who joined Pac at ringside. And there was a little bit of tension between them at some point, so you sort of get the sense that maybe that Wheeler's there out of necessity rather than want, especially for Pac. Um, Sort of like they're fighting for a common goal, but they're not really on the same page, which I think I mentioned on the podcast before. Um, but yeah, so Jay White was regrouping on the outside, and suddenly Wheeler hit him with a psycho knee. Um, and you just think, this is going the same way as the match earlier on in the evening went. A bit of a foggy finish. But Jay White got in the ring, hit his Runner out of absolutely nowhere on Pac. So he was like selling, Pac went to go finish it, and he just out of nowhere just whipped this move out, and Pac lost. That was it. 1, 2, 3. Jay White picking up the win. I thought that was really good. Again, just I love the finish. It was amazing. I thought the fact that Jay White could do that without seeming like he was no selling. I'm sure people have problems with it because I know what wrestling fans are like, but I think it purposely led us down the path of believing it. It was going the same route of Shelton versus Kyle, but it didn't. I think that that switch up was probably done on purpose, just to lead you one way, just to do a full 180 and go the opposite way. So yeah, very cool, very exciting, very unpredictable. Of course, then after that, Mox attacked, and they were going in on Jay White, very frustrated for losing. Uh, and then Hangman Adam Page appeared, um, and sort of Mox was like stalking him out, like not sure what to do. Um, when suddenly this person wearing a black hoodie picked up the camera wire, wrapped it, and was like going to attack Mox and wrapped it around his neck, and commentary like, who's this guy? And the person behind the camera was like, hey, you got to stop. And then it turned out to be Orange Cassidy. Who else? So he was choking Moxley out. He then They got him inside the ring. He hit an orange punch. Jay hit the Blade Runner. Mox was down, and when he got up, he got hit with a buckshot lariat from Hangman. So yeah, very emphatic. And I have to be honest, like as cool as this was, I'm not ready for this storyline to be over. That's what made me realize. Like I hated seeing Mox down and looking weak, retreating. I was just like, oh, that's not cool. That's not badass. Like you should be the one killing them. Like they shouldn't be hitting their signatures on you. I'm not saying that, like, I'm not criticizing it for that. I'm not saying that this was the wrong thing to do. It just made me reflect and be like, I'm not ready to see this end, so I hope it doesn't end soon. I don't necessarily think that it will, although it might at World's End, but I hope it doesn't. I like this, and I want it to continue as long as possible. Um, so yeah, I just had mixed feelings because I think it was a feel good moment. I think people needed to see this for a bit of hope, like, or Moxley can be kept down, but it took three AEW good guys to get him down, so that just speaks to his power and just how difficult he is to pin down. So one on one, would they be able to do it? Probably not. We had Chris Jericho chatting absolute shite. He said he's going to have a match at the Hammerstein Ballroom, but didn't say who against. And then it was later revealed it's going to be against Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona. My apologies. Um, clap if you care, is what I'll say to that. Moving swiftly along, we had Penelope Ford versus Anna Jay. Started off with a promo package, and yeah, then went into the match, which went for a fair amount of time, went over 2 segments, which was nice to see for the women's match. Only one women's match on the show, which is a shame, but not the last women's segment. There was another one after this, which I'll obviously get to later, but yeah, just would be nice to see a bit more of the women. I think they've been pretty missing, like from the recent Dynamites. But yeah, this was a pretty good match. It's very smooth. These two, going back and forth, very sort of looking effortless in the ring. I thought they both looked great in this. Anna Jay ended up winning with I don't know what. I mean, commentary didn't know what it was called. I assume it's a finisher, but it wasn't called anything. It was sort of like a face buster type of thing. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed this match. It was fun. It was not too short, and never felt like it was going too long at the same time. Like it didn't drag or anything like that. There wasn't any awkward slow moments. Um, yeah, it's nice to see these two on Dynamite. Penelope Ford getting some time, very nice. And I'm pretty into this storyline that they're going for. So Anna then called out Mercedes. Um, Mercedes said, obviously just chatting her usual cocky shit. She said, "Come back in 10 years when you've actually done something in this business," to Anna. And Anna slapped her. But then they didn't brawl. Mercedes said she didn't have time for this. And they're going to wrestle in 2 weeks at Holiday Bash special festive edition of Dynamite, where the championship is going to be on the line, the TBS championship. So, yeah, I guess we didn't want to see this like bubble over, to a brawl at this point, at this early stage of the feud, and they want to hold off for that, which makes sense. And I like I said, I'm kind of into this feud. Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. Um, yeah, so they're facing off on Dynamite. Maybe they can have a rematch at the pay-per-view. Hopefully. Speaking of women's wrestling, Mariah May was up next with a promo. She said, "Women's wrestling is dead and buried," which was an interesting quote. Yeah, nothing really out of the ordinary from Mariah. She just cut in a promo, and yeah, it was good. I guess I don't know. I've not really got many opinions on it. But then Mina Shirakawa sort of showed up. It was funny. You could see her like running in the background before she came like properly in front of the camera, which was so funny. She looked ridiculous. And then she appeared and she had the champagne bottle in her hand and she said, "Come on then, do it to my face." Obviously referring to their epic brawl that we saw at Full Gear, which I haven't talked about because I wasn't on the Full Gear review. Loved it, loved it. Obviously, I loved it. It was great. So yeah, I'm very invested in this feud. So I think this segment was just a nice way to remind us of it, and would have been maybe cool to see one of them wrestle, perhaps. But whatever. I'm not complaining because I don't think it's worth complaining about. I don't think it was terrible what we had, but it just wasn't dead notable. I just think it would be nice to have another women's match, but at least they did something and they're continuing the story. So then it was the main event. And yeah, Claudio versus Brody King, as I've already mentioned. Claudio in the main event where he deserves to be. And I do have to say that Brody King has also won me over recently. He's been really great inside the ring, having some great matches. And this one was no different. It was big meaty men slapping meat, which who doesn't love big meaty men slapping meat? Claudio was just proving that he can go with different styles as well. So we've seen him against the likes of Ricochet recently, where he showed off his strengths. He can catch someone mid-air, make it look easy. He can make the high flyers look like shit. Someone like Darby Allin as well, for example. Someone much smaller than him. Obviously, there's a great contrast there, and they work together really well. But Brody King and being similar stature, like similar height, very strong also, like a bruiser. Um, you'd maybe worry like, oh, is this going to be like a slow match? Is this going to be boring compared to his match against Ricochet? But no, it wasn't, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. And I think it just goes to show that Claudio can work with any different style, really. And yeah, these two were great. And like I said, I know I'm probably biased in that, like, any Claudio match I'll say is good. But that's not true. I'm open to criticizing if it's not good. It was objectively good, I think. But also, I'm not trying to give all the credit to him. Obviously, Brody King was brilliant too. So it's not just, oh my God, Claudio's the best. Like, they were both excellent. It takes two to tango, and this was a very good match. Um, the finish, I've not seen people complaining, but I'm sure they probably did. Claudio sort of had the referee in front of him, and then he did like like the donkey kick, would you call it? When they buck their feet back. Oh, I don't know. He low blowed him basically, like from behind. Um, and that's how we ended up winning. And then he hit the neutralizer. Great to see that move again. I feel like I've not seen him do that for a while. And he won with that. Maybe he's done it, but I don't think he's won with it for a long time anyway. So yeah, that was cool to see. I'm into Claudio cheating like this because he did it really effortlessly, did it really like nonchalantly. I'm not seeing him do it often. He's very like a pure wrestler, like I am a good wrestler. I don't need to do things to cheat. That's sort of been his thing for ages, like for like 10 years, is just I'm really strong, I'm a really good wrestler, I'm really smart, I can speak all these languages, etc. So I like seeing this new side to him where he's brutalizing people for no reason, being really violent, cheating to pick up the win. Yeah, I'm here for it. Um, so that means that Claudio is now got the most points in his bracket of the his side of the Continental Classic at the moment. So that's very cool, and they're sort of on commentary they were very much pushing this thing of, oh, who's gonna stop Claudio? He's on a roll. He's got to be a top contender to win this. So I'm happy. I'm eating good. What does everyone else think? I'm here for it. I'm here for it. If Claudio can win his side, that'd be like Christmas for me. Best Christmas gift I could get. Yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of fun all round this match, for a lot of different reasons. I think maybe I thought this match was a great main event, and I thought it should have been the main event, but would it maybe have been better for Mox being down and out, put down by the three baby faces? Would that have been a better finish? Perhaps just makes more sense as an ending angle. But then I don't think that Pac versus Jay White could have been in the main event spot, if that makes sense. So like that, the ending angle could have been, but I don't think the match preceding it would have made sense to be the main event. Does that make any sense at all? Not really. But I'm sure you guys know what I mean. Um, I just think that finishing off Dynamite on that high would have been great. But I'm not at all complaining. Not at all complaining. Just an observation. Put that on a t-shirt. Um, yeah, so that was it. That was in Dynamite. I loved the show. I You can probably tell because I have just sang its praises top to bottom pretty much. Um, I remember last week we were saying how fast the show flew by. Maybe wasn't didn't fly as fast as last week for some reason. But I had a lot of fun watching it. Every match was quality. Just every wrestling match was really solid and really tight. Um, and everything was very much focused on the story that they're telling going forward, whether that is the Continental Classic or characters developing, stories developing, um, for the pay-per-view World's End. A lot of build for their festive shows. We're getting two of them. We're getting Winter's Coming and Holiday Bash. So yeah, if Tony's feeling very festive, very nice. Give us all a Christmas present. So yeah, overall really good. To me, this show felt like what AEW is all about and has been all about since the beginning of what it should be about, which is just really quality wrestling and putting the very best of the best in there, letting them do their thing and letting these stories unfold and just, the fans having fun. Like I said, the crowd was so into it and it was great. It was really refreshing. Um, Overall, uh, I'd I'm just thinking about my rating and I'm kind of having a crisis over it because would I say it's a 10? No. But I haven't really had many complaints about it, so I don't know how can I justify not giving it a 10? Why wasn't it perfect? I don't really know. I just don't feel like it is a 10. I wish Estelle was here. I wish we need to discuss this. The only thing we've discussed about Dynamite is the fact that it was amazing how Swerve destroyed Max Caster. That's the only thing we've discussed. Um, I'm gonna dock a point for Jericho chatting shit, I think. Yeah, we're gonna go with a 9. There's just something inside me that can't give it higher than that. Um, yeah. I think like subconsciously I know that Estelle wouldn't give it a 10 either, and she probably might have picked up on something that I didn't pick up on, um, and wouldn't, we'd settle on a 9. I feel like subconsciously I just know that's what the two of us would agree on. So that's what I'm going with. I'm going with a 9. So please comment below if you'd give it a 10 or did you think it was as good as a 9? Maybe you didn't. Um, but I think it goes to show. But it was really good because yesterday I was exhausted, I was moody, I was grumpy, I had a really long day, I'd had a late night the night before, a wrestling show at Atomic Pro Wrestling and Liverpool, great wrestling shows, get your tickets. Um, but I watched this and felt good and it just made me feel better. That that's what wrestling's about, isn't it? Just making you feel better, that escapism. Um, yeah, I think I talked about this last week, I think it was, where sometimes you worry if you're in a bad mood when you put the wrestling on, or you're tired when you put the wrestling on, that you just see it. You pick up more on the negative things, and you maybe are a bit harsher on it because of your mood. Um, Whereas this time it had the opposite effect. It picked up my mood. It picked me up, made me feel better, and that's why I wanted to do this review to share my thoughts, share the positivity. And that's just reminded me of the New Day talking about positivity, and I know our audience isn't really a WWE audience, obviously, because we talk about AEW every week. But I do just want to say, how sad is it about Big E and the New Day? Like, oh my God. Um, I don't watch WWE all that often. I've not watched Survivor Series all the way through. I've kind of had it on in the background. But I heard what happened with the New Day. Obviously, I had to watch that segment. Just watched it on YouTube, 15 minutes or something. Heartbreaking, heartbreaking, devastating. 24 years old in the year of our Lord 2024, and I'm getting emotional over the New Day. What is that? What I need to get alive. I need to get alive. Um, that's the end of the review. That's the end of the episode. Again, I'm sorry you've had to listen to me ramble on for about 50 minutes. But such is life. And thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and Estelle appreciates it too. All the support. Um, we would love, and I think I'm not sure if we're gonna do it, but we would love it if we could hit 500 subs before the end of the year, end of 2024. Can we do it? It feels like an ambitious goal, but it would be amazing if we could. So if you like listening to us chat shit, and you've got friends who like wrestling, please share the podcast. Um, can let other people help us grow our audience. It'd mean the world. And already all the support means thank you so much. Yeah. If you haven't already and you're listening for the first time, please subscribe or follow if you're listening on Spotify. Feel free to leave a comment. Let's have a discussion. I want to know what you thought about this week. What was your match? Who do you think is going to win the classic? Please let me know. That's it from me. Thanks so much for listening.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, and good night, bye.
I wish you died in the womb!